I have spent a good amount of time digging into ElevenLabs, testing it out, running different voices through it,
Hi, this is the sample prompt that I made for this tutorial. I hope you like it. Like and subscribe.
and testing out its features. In this video, I'll guide you through everything you need to know about ElevenLabs so that you can start using it effectively. This is not a sponsored video, just my honest take after really using it. If you'd want to try it out while I walk through everything, I'll drop a link below. It's an affiliate link which would help us support this channel, and you'd also get a discount or exclusive deal when you use that link. But yeah, that is completely optional. You don't have to use it if you don't want to. It's just, I'll just leave it there in case that you'd want it. Alright, so now let's go here into the homepage of ElevenLabs. So you could also use our link to go here if you'd want to. And then before we start setting up our account by clicking here, is that we're just going to test out the core features in here in ElevenLabs, and they have this free to use feature right in here where you could use their core features, the text-to-speech, speech-to-text, and so on. So I will be demonstrating each one of them shortly, and that way you would have an idea already, so that when we dig deep later on, when I log in into my ElevenLabs account, you would already have an idea on how it works and what it is. And that way, you will be able to understand the deeper detail that I will be showing you. And yeah, so basically you'll have an easier time. So make sure to stay tuned and listen. So first is we have the text-to-speech. So this is the most common and most popular feature here in ElevenLabs. You just type out a text and then ElevenLabs will now convert it into an audio. So you can turn written content into natural sounding AI voices, which is great for audiobooks or content narration. So you have some presets in here that you could use, but I'll just stick with this one. And then in here, you could change the language if you want to. So you could go for Arabic, Bulgarian, Chinese, and many more languages right here. So there are a lot of languages. But if you don't have the specific language that you'd want right here, then chances are it's not yet updated in here in ElevenLabs. You might have to wait for that, or you could also request it in their customer service. So here in the text-to-speech is that we're just going to use some of these presets right here. Like for example, I'm going to go for George.
English has the most words, with over 170,000 in the Oxford English Dictionary.
That's it. Now let's go for Will.
Thank you for contacting ElevenLabs support. I understand you're having trouble with your voice synthesis project.
So yeah, this is basically it for the text-to-speech. Your text transformed into an audio or speech by an AI voice. So that's it. And you could also select the voice actor or artist later on. But yeah, we'll just go into the speech-to-text next. And in here, you could actually do the opposite. So from your audio, it will now be converted into text. So basically a transcription. So you can transcribe your conference calls, interview, medical interview, and whatnot. So for example, this one, conference calls, we can play this.
Quick check-in. Maple Street is
And then you would be able to see here, this is the transcription. You can follow it if just to see if it's really accurate.
a mess. Time to fix it.
Totally. Some of those potholes could swallow a small car.
So yeah, that's it for the speech to text. Now let's go into conversational AI. Here we could go for building an AI agent that speaks for web, mobile, or telepathy. And basically, this can generate lifelike two-way dialogues between AI characters with distinct voices and tones. It's still early, but useful for demos, skits, or narrative games. So for example, here is that I'm just going to go for a chess coach AI, and I would want to use the voice of Will right there. And now you can click here and try a call, and now I could talk to this AI, so just listen.
I'm here to help you improve your chess game. Would you like to discuss opening strategies, piece movement basics, or tactics for the middle game?
Yes, but before that, I would want to know the rules first.
All right, let's start with the basics. Each player starts with 16 pieces, and the goal is to checkmate.
So yeah, that is basically it for the conversational AI. Basically, you'll have a conversation with the AI. So you could choose the voice and then what role is it portraying or is it acting and so on. So this is really useful for customer supports, for script writers, indie game devs, and creators exploring storytelling or simulations. Next, we have dubbing. So basically, it's very simple. For example, you have an English audio on your video. Then you can turn it into another language like Hindi as an example right here. So first, let's play the English example.
There's a lot of young people listening to this that are truly inspired by your story. From those humble beginnings,
Now I'm gonna turn it into Hindi. So listen.
शुरुआतों से लेकर के दुनिया के सबसे बड़े लोकतंत्र के नेता बनने तक, तो आप उन युवा लोगों को क्या कहना चाहेंगे?
So yeah, as you might have heard, it is now a different language. The only problem that you would face in here is that the lip sync is not actually on point. So that is understandable considering that you have changed the audio language. But yeah, if you're willing to sacrifice that, then this is a good feature for you. And next we have the voice cloning. So basically what this does is that it can actually clone your voice or other people's voice. So if you would want a standard voice for maybe like your channel, like you would want to use this certain voice, or maybe your voice and you don't want to record your voice every single time. And that way you can just use voice cloning, and then you could use your voice in text to speech. So all you have to do is to just input the text, and then ElevenLabs will basically generate a speech using your voice that it has cloned. So in here we have some original and voice cloned samples in here. So first let's hear the original for let's say Lily.
Sherlock Holmes's quick eye took in my occupation, and he shook his head with a smile as he noticed my questioning glances.
Now let's go for the cloned voice.
Sherlock Holmes's quick eye took in my occupation, and he shook his head with a...
So yeah, as you might have heard, it's very similar, but I don't think this test is viable though, because ElevenLabs might have just fabricated this, and in real time, it is not really this accurate. So we'll have to find out later on, and you'll have to judge for yourself. And next is that we have 11 Reader. So 11 Reader is basically an AI-powered reader for web articles and text files that reads content aloud in natural AI voices. You can think of it as a supercharged text reader. So this is for anyone who prefers listening over reading, especially helpful for accessibility, multitasking, or long-form content. So you can get this in the app by the App Store or Google Play. Alright, so now let's set up our account. So let's go here into try for free if you don't have an account yet, but if you do have one, you just click here on login. So let's say you don't have one, you can click here on sign up with Google or enter your email and password. Alright, so now once you're done, you will now be prompted here into the subscription plan if it's your first time. So the beauty here in ElevenLabs is that you don't have to get a paid plan right away. They don't force like a free trial for a certain amount of days. They would just give you this free plan with 10,000 credits, which is actually quite generous. And it would reset every month, so that is quite generous from ElevenLabs for you to test out their features right here and see if it's worth getting the paid plan. So here in the paid plan, we have Starter, which is great for beginners testing AI voices. You get basic voice generation, 30K or 30,000 monthly credits included, and limited voice cloning at $5 per month. If you'd want to save in the long run, I suggest that you go for Build Yearly, and that way you would get significant price drops on the monthly prices. And then if you go for yearly, you'd get 2 months free. And next is that we have the creator. So in this one, this is for content creators who needs more volume. So you'd get 100,000 credits, higher quality audio, and access to the ElevenLabs API. And now next is that we have the Pro plan. So this is aimed at professionals and studios. You get 500,000 credits, 10 custom voices, and commercial rates for scaling content. Next, we have the Scale plan right here, which is built for teams or heavy users, includes 2 million credits in here, deeper customization, priority support, and more cloning options. So this is a bit more expensive in here. So yeah, it is priced at $330 per month. And then we have the business plan right here, where you could get it at $1,320 per month. So this is enterprise level, full API access, high character limits, dedicated customer support, and advanced security, which is best for large scale production teams. And we have the enterprise. If this is not enough for you, then you can go for custom, or for whatever reason that you would want your pricing to be flexible, you can contact the sales in here. So yeah, that's it for the pricing plan. And now you should now know on which one you should get if you'd want to get a paid plans and get more features. So now let's go into the home page, and now let's explore the features here in ElevenLabs. So first is that we have the voices section in here. So let's go there. Now in here, you can now select the voices that you would want to use. So in this one, you'd notice some badges in here on the voice. Right here, it says high quality. So those are premium voices. And basically, you can click on them right here on the three dots, and then you can copy the voice ID, view similar, or copy the voice link. And then you could also add this into your voices list. You can click on that. For example, this one. And then it will now be added into your voices section. You can click here on my voices, and then you should now be able to see it added right here. So yeah, this is basically where you can browse different voices here in ElevenLabs, like which one you would like to use. And you also have these badges in here where you have the $sign. So these are charge credits on all models and plans. So this is a bit more expensive to use because they charge more credits than usual. So yeah, you can just test it out some voices right here. Like for example, I'm gonna test out this one actually. So I'm gonna click on that.
Si Dodong Machoy mao ang maisog ug karismatikong Bisayang dako sa
So you could also see the language in here. So you would want to take note of that also. So this one is in Filipino. And then let's go for English. Let's say Christina.
Let's begin by closing your eyes and taking a few deep breaths.
So yeah, that's it. So basically, you can just browse the voices in here, and then you can just add it into your list of voices so that when you're creating your audio later on, you can just use that voice into generating your audio. So yeah, that's how simple it is. And you also have collections in here, which I think would be useful so that you would be able to categorize your voices in a specific niche or maybe in a specific genre. You could also use that. And since I only have the free plan, I only got 3 slots available right here. And you can see your default voices right here under default voices and so on. So yeah, that's basically it for the voices right here. It's very simple. And next is that we have the text to speech. So in here, we will now be able to dig deep into the settings in here on how you would be able to control how the AI voice would actually start speaking your prompt. So let's just start with a simple prompt. So hi, this is the sample prompt that I made for this tutorial. I hope you like it. Like and subscribe. Maybe something like that. And now let's test it out. Now let's go to settings, and we're gonna choose our voice that we'd want. So here we will now be able to see here this voice right here that we have added into our list, right? This is the one, so you could use that if you don't want to. So that is the purpose of adding it into your list of voices so that you could easily use it in here. And then you could also go for other voices if you'd want. And this one is a professional voice clone right here with this badge. So you can actually know what this badge is by just hovering over it. And as for this example, I'm just going to go for Grandpa. I think this one is interesting. I'm going to play it just to play the preview.
Let me tell you what my grandpa told me when I was just 6 years old. Son, always
And yeah, I
let me
think that
tell
is
you what...
very engaging. So I'm going to use this actually. Click on it right there. And now it's now selected. And you could also add it to your voices if you'd want to. So I'm just going to add this right there because I like grandpa voices. And then next is that we have the model. So for this one right here is that I suggest that you go for the 11 multilingual V2 for this one, which is higher quality. But if you'd want to go cheaper, then go for the other model. You could also show all models. So in this case, you'd be able to test out different models, and then you'd be able to see what is recommended for the voice that you have chosen, which is very important. Since we are on the free plan, I'm just going to go for this one, which is recommended for my voice, and it's 50% cheaper. So I'll be able to save my credits. Next is that you can go for speed. So it's very understandable. It's how fast the voice is speaking. And then the stability here is if you go above 8 let's say 80 right here, it will be more stable, but it will sound more robotic. So that's the downside of being more stable. And if you go for less stable or more variable, then you would have some nice variation on the voices. But yeah, it will be unstable, so you might have to be careful on the amount that you would go for the more variable side. And then this one is similarity. So this can boost the overall voice clarity and target speaker similarity. So very high values can cause artifacts. So adjusting the setting to find the optimal value is encouraged. So as for this one, I like to set it around 30 right here. So actually, let's just play it with its normal settings right here. So I think it's this one. So I'm just going to go and generate the speech for this one so that you'd be able to hear the difference.
Hi, this is the sample prompt that I made for this tutorial. I hope you like it. Like and subscribe.
So that's it. I think that was too slow, so I'm just gonna speed it up a bit right there. And then as for the stability, I'm gonna go for this one because I like a variation, because with that it would sound less AI and it's not really that noticeable that is AI. And for the similarity, I'm just gonna go for 35. I think that is enough. And this one, I'm gonna set at 20. And now let's regenerate the speech and let's hear it.
Hi, this is the sample prompt that I made for this tutorial. I hope you like it. Like and subscribe.
So yeah, that's it. As you can see, it's now much faster and with some variation. Now let me show you on what it would be like if I go to the more stable side.
Hi, this is the sample prompt that I made for this tutorial. I hope you like it. Like and subscribe.
So yeah, that's it. So basically, this is the controls here in generating your voices. Now let's go and test out the similarity one. Let's go for the high value. Generate the speech.
Hey, this is the sample prompt that I made for this tutorial. I hope you like it. Like and subscribe.
Did you notice that there was some artifacts right at the start? So let me play it again, and then you could hear it. So listen closely.
Hey, this is...
There it is, as you can see. I mean, as you could hear, right? So you have heard that. So that is the downside of the similarity option if you set it too high in here. So make sure to just set it right there. So yeah, this is the text-to-speech feature right here. So now you'd be able to use these settings right here, depending on how you would like your voice to speak out the prompt that you have placed right here. Next, let's go into voice changer. So this one is really simple. We have already discussed that, and we have the same settings in here. So we have already discussed this, so I'm not going to go in depth again. So for this one, in the settings, you can choose the voice that you would want to change the base voice into. So you could choose the voices in here, and then you could choose the model again, and the stability, similar, and the style exaggeration. So this one I haven't discussed yet. Basically, this is the personality amplifier. So at 0, it is the most natural, consistent output, and at higher values, you'd get more dramatic variations. It is best kept at minimum unless you want specific character effects. So as for this one, I'm just going to set it at 0 at first. And now I'm just going to go and upload my sample audio right here, which is simply a recording of my own voice. So now I'll just click here so that I'll be able to open up my storage in here. And then I'll just go into videos and just locate my audio right here. So it's here, it's this one right here. So there it is. So it's 7 seconds long, and I think that's fine for this tutorial. And now we can now click here on generate to start processing. And basically you want to make sure first that your settings are all good, and I would want to change this into let's say Mark.
I think this is a really nice way to just talk naturally together, talk plainly. Let's give it a shot.
Yeah, I think this one is great. So I'm just going to select Mark in here, and then I'm going to add it into my voice also right there. And it's now selected. And then next is that we can now go and go through models. I didn't think I have any problem with this. It's fine. And it's stability, similarity, exaggeration, and I'd also want to remove background noise. I'm going to enable that, and that's it. So now let's generate the speech and let's see what it got for us.
This is the sample voice that I have recorded for the ElevenLabs voice changer.
So yeah, that's the result, and this is the original so that you could compare. This is the sample voice that I have recorded for the ElevenLabs voice changer.
This is the sample voice that I have recorded for the ElevenLabs voice changer.
So yeah, as you can see, it is very accurate with the words. It has actually caught up or picked up on all the words that I said in here, which is should be the result because it's really short and the voice was very clear in here. But yeah, you can test it out yourself and see if it's actually accurate. And it has used this voice of Mark. Now let's go into style exaggeration and let's bump it up. And let's see if we'd get some really cool character effects at 50%. Let's click on Regenerate Speech.
This is the sample voice that I have recorded for the ElevenLabs voice changer.
So yeah, that's it. So basically, I like the 0% value better compared to this one. Based on my preference, I don't really like this one. It's kind of boring for me. I think this one is better because it's much deeper. So now let's go back into 0%. Let's just confirm it. And then let's play
This is the sample voice that I have recorded for the ElevenLabs voice changer.
Yeah, I think this is really better. It's much deeper and the voice is more whole, if you get me. And yeah, basically that's it for the voice changer. It basically changes your base audio into the voice of your choice. And then you have some options in here. You can remove your background noise and then you could also boost the speaker voice. So that's it. Now let's go into sound effects. In here is that you'd be able to provide a prompt in here on the sound effects that you'd want. For example, in here, I'm going to hover my mouse into these presets. For example, this one. So those are just samples. I'm just going to describe a sound. So let's say I would want a door creaking. Or I don't know what is the spelling of creaking is. Maybe something like this. A door creaking violently. Maybe something like that. And then you could also set the settings in here, like the duration. And then this one is the prompt influence. So how strict would you like the AI to stick to the prompt in here? So you could go high or low. I'll just go for 50% right there. And then you could also go for the show history. So this is where you can see the history of your prompts. And now I'm just going to click on generate. And now here are the results. So it's shown here in the history. So I'm going to go for sample. All right, that's a violet one. That is sample one. And now let's go into sample two. Yeah, those are loud creaks. Alright, now this one just sounded like a fart. And now let's go into sample 4. Even worse. So I think I like the sample 1 and 2 right here. So yeah, this is the sound effects. You can generate a sound effects of your choice depending on your prompt right here. So you could be more specific and then you'd be getting more or better sound effects right here in ElevenLabs, which I think is a great feature. And as you might have remembered, this is not included on the core features that we discussed earlier, but this is a really cool feature from ElevenLabs. Next is we have the studio. So in here, you can start from scratch, create an audiobook, import from URL, or create a podcast as your script. So you can search some projects in here if you don't want to. So for example, I'm going to start from scratch. And in here, I can type out my prompt. So I'm just going to start with something simple again. So I'm going to go for hi. This is my simple prompt for this tutorial. And now I'm going to go for another one and this one. And I'm just going to say, I'm going to start this like a conversation. I'll go for hello. All right. Understood. Something like that. So yeah, it's a very casual conversation. And what's neat in here is that you could actually change the voices per line in here. So you could basically make a dialogue in here, or you could use this for your audiobook. And that way you'd be able to change each voice in here per line. And then, yeah, this is basically the essence of Studio in here. So for example, I'll change this into Alice. And for this one, I'll leave it as Mark right there. And now you could also click here on override settings for that voice. And then you'll now have the settings in here that we have discussed earlier. So you can set the settings and so on. And same goes for the other lines. So yeah, this is the AI Studio. And then you could add more lines in here if you wish. So take note that the more line that you have, or the more words, is that you would also be consuming a lot of credits. So take note of that. And then if you'd also be using a lot of voice, then that would also affect the credit that you would be consuming. So now I'm going to play it so we can hear it.
Hi, this is my simple prompt for this tutorial.
Hello. All right. Understood.
So yeah, that's it. It's very simple, right? Now you know how you can use Studio. And now let's go into dubbing. So this is basically the voice language changer that we discussed earlier in the core features. So you can change your audio language, like from English to Hindi, which we have demonstrated later on. So you can click here and to create a dub. Now, in here is that you can select a project name, like for example, I'm a sample. And then I'm going to go for the source language. I'm going to go for English right here. So the audio that I will be uploading in here would be English, and then the target languages. So I'm gonna go for, I want it to be in Korean right there. And then the audio or video source, you can select different methods in here, but I'm just gonna go for upload. So I'm just gonna upload mine, click here, and then now I'm just gonna have to locate my audio again. So it's right here and right there. Click on open, and there it is. And now from here, you can set the number of speakers, or you could just let AI detect that, and then the time range to dub. So if you want a specific time frame of the part of the audio right here that you'd want to dub, is that you could also select it or specify it right here. But as for this one, I'm just going to go and create a dub, and you could also disable voice cloning, by the way. Click here on create dub. And from here is that it will now process. And take note that dubbing here costs a lot of credits. For this one, for example, is that it cost me 212 credits. So take note of that. And it's still now processing, so let's wait for it. All right, so now let's hear it. So we have it here.
Sa anledning av jo isang kisa ElevenLabs såg här då sample done content street.
Alright, so I don't think this is Korean, or it's just really bad, because I don't really like it. And that is supposed to sound like my voice, but I don't know, I don't hear the resemblance at all.
Sa anledning av jo isang kisa ElevenLabs.
So yeah, I'm not really a fan of dubbing here in ElevenLabs. I think this is the part where they don't really deliver compared to their other features, which is exceptional. And there are also a ton of cons here in dubbing, like the voice doesn't really sound alike, like in the bass voice, and also it will not sync in your lip sync, because of course it's in a different language and the timing of the lip sync will be different. So if you're willing to sacrifice that, then you can just use the dubbing here in ElevenLabs. But yeah, that's it. Now let's go into conversational AI, and from here is that again you could create an agent right here. So this is great for creating an AI agent for your call. So click here and create agent, and then you can go for support agent, mindfulness coach, sales agent, and then a video game character. So these are the presets, but you could also start from a blank right here if you'd want to. And then in here, you can set the agent language and then additional language, and then the first message, system prompt, dynamic variables, and so on. This is actually a bit more in-depth topic right here for ElevenLabs. So I'm just going to give you a quick run through on this. As you can see, there are a lot of settings that you would need to consider in this. So these are the voice settings right here that we have discussed, like the stability, speed, similarity, and so on. And then we have the analysis, security, advanced, and then the widgets in here. So yeah, as for the conversational AI, there are a lot of options that you would need to consider in here. And you have some outbound calls in here, phone numbers, and some settings right here. So this is a more complicated feature here in ElevenLabs. So yeah, that's it. Now let's go back into ElevenLabs and let's go into speech to text right here. Now let's test out this transcription feature in here if it's really accurate. All right, now I have my voice. Let's click here on transcribe files to upload our audio file to be transcribed. And I'm just going to upload it here. And there it is. So now the primary language, you can let AI detect, or you could set it yourself, which is much better so that it will not get it wrong in detecting your language. And then you can also tag audio events. So when this is enabled, audio events such as laughter and footsteps will appear in the transcription. That is if you don't want that. In my case, I'll just disable this and click on upload files. And then after that, it will now be processed for transcription. And since it's a very short audio right here, it should be processed in no time. So here it is. It's done. Let's play it. And here it is. So this is the transcription right here. So now I'm just going to play it and listen carefully and see if the transcription is really accurate. This is my sample voice for transcription here in ElevenLabs for the speech to text. There it is. So I don't really know why it has this part right here. I didn't really say anything about this because if you replay the audio, this is my sample. This is not really a part of it. So yeah, I think this is a downside of ElevenLabs, and it's not really that accurate, in terms of speech to text, because this shouldn't be here. I don't know why they added this. So I think this is just a mistake from ElevenLabs. So that's it. It should just be like this one right here. And it's a really simple audio sample. After all, they should have gotten this perfectly. And it's not with a lot of background noise for AI to make a mistake in discerning the voice and so on. So yeah, I think this speech to text is not that good. And now we also have this audio tools from ElevenLabs under here. So we have audio native. So this optimizes AI generated speech for native sounding intonation and flow. Perfect if you want your voiceovers to feel human and natural. So in here, you'd need to upgrade your subscription to get this one right here. And you'd have the sample in here. Like for example, when I play it.
Logic will get you from A to B. Imagination will take you everywhere.
So that's it. And then we have the VoiceOver Studio, which is an all-in-one space for creating, editing, and managing voiceover projects. Great for streamlining content production workflows. And this is also another one for the paid plans, so you would need to upgrade. And next is that we have the voice isolator. So this separates a voice from background noise or music, helpful when cleaning up audio recordings or repurposing content. So I see this very helpful when you are dealing with audio that has some background music, like maybe from a YouTube video, wherein you would want to get just the audio or dialogue without the background music from that video itself. You can definitely do that in here in the voice isolator, which is really cool. And next is that we have the AI speech classifier, which can detect whether a voice sample was AI generated or human, which is ideal for verification, content moderation, or authenticity checks. And lastly, we have the soundboard. So this lets you store and trigger pre-recorded or AI-generated voice clips on demand, which is useful for live streams, podcasts, or content batching. So yeah, that's it for the soundboard and the audio tools. So yeah, this is it for the ElevenLabs in-depth tutorial on everything you need to know about ElevenLabs to start using this effectively. We have now covered all of the features in here in ElevenLabs. I hope this video has been helpful to you. And again, if you want to use our link to support our channel, you can use it by clicking on the link on the description. It's completely free, no cost to you. So it's just an optional one, just in case if you'd want to use it and get exclusive deal. So that's it. Thank you for watching and see you on the next one.